Hello and welcome, fans of unusual computer stuff. Today we'll pause and explore ancient antiquities and check something more not so old, something more alive. So I'm happy to present you Goal 1. Simple and concise. Let's get acquainted. First of all, we're talking about rather tiny x86 PC. The ad says that this is the smallest PC in the world. We all know that it's not true. Fujitsu says hello, but let's not be too judgmental. I welcome you to start from the history. 2016. On the Indiegogo platform, Shenzhen Qianhai Gole Technology Company launched crowdfunding for the release of our today's hero. A few words about company itself. Shenzhen Qianhai Gole Technology was founded in 2008 in Shenzhen. Its roots go back to R&D company which got high-tech corp certificate and also closely worked with Intel and Allwinner. As you can already understood, crowdfunding ended this success. About price of this device I'll tell you at the end of the video, but now we're going to check the set. Device itself was shipped to customers in similar box. Compared to Gole 1 itself, and remembering nowadays trends, this box is very huge. Basic set included PC, power supply, instructions. Visually, this PC looks rather unusual. When I saw it for the first time, unwillingly I had an association with old-style TV. I think it's because of the antenna. We have an image of a stereotypical TV. I like the contrast in colors, but I can't call myself a big fan of the base shade. Rich is not my style. Case, as you already may have understood, made from metal. This fact adds a couple of points to the seriousness scoreboard of this device. Those days it was fashionable to think of the device within more than one system to work with. So we have Windows 10 and Android 5.1. But I'll talk about OS later. The exterior is waiting for us. On the front side there is a 5-inch IPS display with touch input. It supports up to 5 simultaneous touches. You can find this number of pixels on this display, which means that you are looking at the HD display. I think it's a perfect resolution and there is no sense to install bigger resolution display here. At the bottom of the front side there are several buttons. Right one, power on. In the middle, Win key, home. In the left, volume up and down. Also between these buttons you can see speakers out holes. At the bottom side you can see Gole inscription and nothing else. On the left side, micro USB. With adapter you can attach every USB device you want. USB 2.0, USB 3.0 and micro SD slot. Up to 64 GB card. On the top side, headphone jack, HDMI, 2 USB 2.0 ports, reset button, LAN fast Ethernet, it means 100 megabits per second port, and power port. This device uses 5 volts, 3 amperes. There is another one way to charge it, by the micro USB. Next one is absolutely unremarkable antenna, absolutely unnoticeable. On the right side, gaping void. You know that if you will peer into the void for a long time, sooner or later right side starts to peer into you. On the back side there are only vent holes, and it's important to know that there is no active cooling system here. Over these screws there should be rubber teeth, but they are lost in the eternity. As you can understand, without active cooling system, CPU's 100% performance is very limited by time. Dimensions are, and weight is 2600 mAh battery is installed here. and it has degraded greatly by time. The device was just assembled. This battery made it possible to work up to 2 hours autonomously. What do you think this antenna's for? I'll give you a little hint. Case of this device is full metal and it has no spacers made of plastic or anything similar. Let's talk a little about insides. Everything's built around system on a chip SoC Intel Atom X5Z8300 1.44 GHz. 4 cores, 4 threads, energy efficient CPU with Intel HD graphic Gen 8. 500 MHz. Several options of the specs were created. 2 or 4 GB DDR3L and 32 or 64 GB NAND flash memory. It's time to power up our device. At startup, you can get to the BIOS or go to the OS choosing. As I already told, you can find Windows 10 and Android 5.1 here. I found some information on the web about capability of installing Linux on this device, and if this video gets 3000 views and 100 likes, I'll do it on this channel. Let's start from the BIOS itself. You need to press corresponding button on a startup screen to get to the BIOS. What's interesting is that for reasons unclear to me, the screen is 90 degrees rotated at startup, and I don't know why this wasn't fixed at the creation stage. BIOS. So, after some number of attempts of hitting right button on the screen, I gave up. So I connected external keyboard, and only after this I was able to get to the BIOS. What can we learn from it? For example, gigantic 4 GB RAM. A lot of different settings like power, energy efficiency, amount of video RAM, and more of that are presented here, and it's very useful. Usually in these kind of devices, everything is very boring and poor. In our case, if there is a certain interest, it can be configured for several usage scenarios. We'll start from more boring, we'll start from Windows 10. What can be more boring than that? In general, there is a completely standard distribution, except for one single utility that restarts Gole 1 in Android. Also, you can find a full functioning gyroscope here. So, the interface adaptation when tilting the device works very quickly. We'll test local multimedia and take a peek at the internet in action. As for the convenience of using Windows in a tablet mode on a screen of this size, I can say that it is no picnic. Most of interface elements are not adapted for this scenario. Some problems can be fixed by playing the fonts, but in some places you can lose. There are also some touchscreen dead zones and bugs in my particular model. For example, if I touch left edge of the screen, touch is registered on the top left. And it's not about comfort when we are talking about Windows Virtual Keyboard, especially this type of sensor. It's funny, but in Windows I have got troubles with card reader. It doesn't want to work. With Android we run no problems. Let's get to multimedia and internet tests. As we have HDMI here, let's connect it. In general, the device can support screen up to 4K, but we'll test it for 1040p because this is the maximum resolution for my monitor. For the test, we will take a 1080p offline video and 720p too. Here is the data about the byte rate. We'll also test a video from YouTube. Funny. I think for a lot of people like me, Windows 10 is a new operation system, but in fact it's already 10 years old and its support is ending. As you know, Android is based on the Linux kernel, so there are no issues beside time and labor costs related to the code porting between architectures. Because of that, x86 version of Android has existed for quite a long time. Does it support all the application in the library? No. Is there any point in it other than getting lulz? I think not. This is actually the logic we'll use when exploring the second system. What do we have here? The first thing that catches the eye is, of course, the terminal and a persistent of the Google Store. The most unusual menu item is OS switch. As there is nothing else unusual here, let's move on to multimedia. With YouTube, this device works almost perfect at 720, but in difficult moments, 480 it's a rather good choice. When I tried to play back local content, even 1080p wasn't a problem. Here you can see the same test as on Windows. Even then you plug in external monitor, it doesn't have a significant impact on the ability of handle decent quality content by this little body. How much did such a technological frenzy cost? Prices started at $79 and my model costs $169. Is that a lot? If you knew how to use this device, I think it was not so much. It's important to note that even in 2025, Gole 1 is up to date in certain scenarios if you are prepared to make some effort. For its time, I'll say that it was a worthy device, but like all UMPCs, it's not for everyone. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye.